Coco.
Thanks.
After everything that happened on Thursday night, did you wake up feeling a little differently yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I just realized that I don't want that moment to happen again, like on court for sure. And yeah, I'm not someone who like I don't know, I don't want to show like I guess weakness in moments, but after the match, I was thinking like maybe it's not a weakness, it's just showing the things that happen in my head and not keeping it inside to the point where I can't play. But I felt with a new perspective, seeing how the support I've gotten since that moment, just seeing how proud of people are of me, regardless of how I do here. So today I felt a lot lighter going on court, and I hope to continue feeling that lightweight for the rest of the time here.
The most difficult lesson of his career was just taught to an ABC anchor. Coco Gauff is not putting up with what he said about her during a commercial break. Legal documents are currently flying after the audio leak became viral right away. What began as a light-hearted remark and ended up becoming a career-ending error that nobody anticipated. Is Coco going too far, or should celebrities file lawsuits whenever someone treats them disrespectfully? Please share your thoughts with me in the comments section. Ethan Price believed that the microphone was not working. These stories always begin like that, don't they? When a famous person in the media believes they are having a private discussion and says something inappropriate, their entire life collapses when the internet finds out. Ethan has spent nearly 2 decades working for ABC. An anchor who could cover critical news without making it feel heavy, with a trusted face and a respected voice. However, during a commercial break on ABC's World Morning Now on a random Tuesday morning, Ethan said something that would ruin all he had worked so hard to create. He stated it while chatting with his co-host and joking about something. The comments that might cost him a lot of money in a lawsuit, his job, and his reputation. You know, Coco seems to be rescuing the world for someone so young. It's not a revolution, it's simply tennis. The duration of the clip was 37 seconds. The grainy audio was obviously taken from a raw feed or someone's phone, but it was still crystal audible and was posted 12 million times on Reddit in just 1 hour. Twitter blew out. Comment sections on Instagram became battlegrounds. Everyone had a viewpoint, and the most of them were unfavorable to Ethan. You can't say that about Coco Gauff in 2025 and expect people to shrug it off. Coco is more than just a tennis player. She now represents and speaks for a generation. A young black woman who speaks out about important problems using her platform. Saying it's just tennis is disrespectful to everything she stands for, not just dismissive.
What are your thoughts about that overall?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be positive. I mean, after the match, I definitely was struggling in the locker room. I don't like losing, and yeah, I think for me the main thing, I'm sure my team and everyone's gonna tell me like, you did well at Roland Garros. So.
There was a swift and vicious pushback. Every sports athletes began to weigh in. LeBron James expressed his support for Coco on Twitter. Coco's face was depicted with fire emojis in a story that Serena Williams shared. Because the problem extended beyond sports, even non-tennis fans were posting about it. This was about respect and how young women, particularly young black women, are treated when they dare to hold views outside of their line of work.
How does it feel to have been vulnerable like that in a room of 24,000 people and I don't know how many millions of people watching at home?
It feels human, I think. I think being an athlete, people kind of disregard that side of us, the human side of things. And, people say so many things like, number 3 in the world and you're doing this or you're playing like this and you should be better and things like that. But like at the end of the day, like I feel like I've already, if I stopped and didn't pick up a racket tomorrow, I've have a career that so many people would dream of. But I think I just showed people what it's like to be a human, and I have bad days, but I think it's more about how you get up after those bad moments and how you show up after that. And I think today I showed that I can get up after feeling the worst I've ever felt.
ABC made an effort to anticipate it. Ethan was suspended by Wednesday afternoon while an internal inquiry was conducted. As part of regular damage control, the network issued a corporate statement regarding professionalism and inclusivity. However, everyone understood what that meant. Ethan had had enough. You don't recover from anything like this. particularly in the current environment where a decade's lengthy career may be ended by a single viral video. Ethan's social media accounts vanished right away. After years of daily activity, his Twitter account abruptly stopped updating. His Instagram vanished. Everything that could draw extra notice was removed from his LinkedIn profile as well. He went into complete hiding, most likely on the advice of solicitors and public relations professionals trying to limit the catastrophe. However, Coco remained silent, and it was overwhelming. At the time, she was in Shanghai getting ready for a competition. Her phone was ringing, agents were phoning, the PR team was panicking, and her family was checking in. She remained silent as the entire world talked about her, defended her, and used her name in think pieces and hashtags. Not a statement, not a tweet, not even a mysterious Instagram story. Her coach discovered her sitting by the hotel window, gazing out at the city while wearing headphones. He inquired about her well-being and whether she wished to reply. Coco grinned as she glanced over the millions of messages and mentions on her phone. Not quite yet. My response will be to the court. That is the epitome of a heartless champion mindset. Coco was concentrating on her passion, tennis, while everyone else was going crazy on the internet. She certainly made an impression. She entered the Wuhan court for her semi-final match the following evening. The audience was electrifying. Cameras were fixed on her face, searching for any indication of emotion or diversion. Commentators were attempting to strike a balance between discussing tennis and addressing the big issue. Everyone was observing to see how she had responded to the pressure. Her opponent was destroyed by her. Completely destroyed her. 6 feet 2 inches 63 in 78 minutes. It was pure ferocity in every shot. There was more heat on each serve. She wasn't merely scoring points. With each racket stroke, she was making a statement. Her name was chanted by the audience. Some of Coco's shots were so excellent that even her opponent was applauding. It wasn't the score that made the game famous, but rather what it stood for. Coco might have given in to the pressure. She might have let Ethan's remarks to influence her performance. Rather, she put all of her energy into her game and emerged stronger. That's what separates excellent athletes from mediocre ones. However, the tale didn't stop there. Because Coco's legal team was discreetly preparing a case while she was winning games and taking the high road. You see, most people don't realize that remarks like Ethan's aren't only disrespectful. When they originate from someone with a platform as large as a national news anchor, they may be legally actionable. Disparagement, defamation, and fostering an antagonistic public atmosphere. Coco's solicitors began considering all of their alternatives. Because there was more than one comment involved. This concerned the trend of treating young black female athletes differently and downplaying their achievements. Way they are instructed to give up their opinions and just play sports. At the time of filing, the case did not request a specific sum of money. Instead of merely offering corporate apologies and waiting for the news cycle to pass, it called for accountability, public admission of harm, and true responsibility from ABC and Ethan Price. And that's what set this celebrity controversy apart from others. Coco wasn't simply removing someone from Twitter and going on. She was utilizing the court system to establish a precedent and demonstrate that words have repercussions, particularly when they originate from influential and powerful individuals. ABC was in a very bad situation. Ethan's suspension was essentially an admission that he had made a mistake. However, one of the most well-known athletes in the world was now suing them. A publicly supported lawsuit. A lawsuit that sponsors were keeping a close eye on. A case that might cost them millions in lost advertising revenue, reputational harm, and compensation money. The career of Ethan Price was already over. Days after the video was leaked, that became evident. However, his financial future was now also at risk. ABC may attempt to entirely ignore him in order to defend the network, depending on how they handle the lawsuit. He might be held personally accountable for any harm. His pension might be in jeopardy. A 37-second audio clip may destroy all he'd worked so hard to create over the past 20 years. Ironically, Ethan most likely didn't even consider his remarks to be that offensive. During a commercial break, he was casually remarking to a coworker. Simply put, a young woman who dares to express her ideas is being dismissed by men. Basically, locker room conversation. Since no one is recording, He most likely says things like that frequently and is never held accountable. However, it is precisely the issue. Casual sexism and the inherent disdain for young women, particularly young black women, who don't fit neatly into the preconceived notions of society. Ethan's remark wasn't a singular occurrence. It was a sign of a larger problem with media and sports coverage. Throughout her career, Coco has struggled with this. Being informed that she is too young to form an opinion. Being urged to concentrate on tennis after being questioned about her activism. Being negatively contrasted with other players. Being held to a different standard than male athletes who support social causes with their platforms. She has shown patience. She's been kind. However, it seems that Ethan's remark was the line. To be honest, I'm happy for her. Athletes don't have to put up with disrespect just because it comes from well-known media figures. The previous paradigm required athletes to grin and accept criticism from pundits as fact. Athletes from this generation have their own social media accounts, attorneys, and agents. They should and are able to fight back. The case received an extraordinarily enthusiastic response from the public. The majority of people saw it as Coco standing up for all young women who have been disregarded or denigrated for attempting to change the world, not just for herself. Following the disclosure of the video, the hashtag #StandWithCoco gained even more traction after the announcement of legal action. Sponsors also thought it was fantastic. Coco's current contracts were extended with larger sums. Because brands recognize that consumers, particularly younger consumers, want to support people who stand for something, new businesses began contacting her in an attempt to collaborate. Coco's legal lawsuit demonstrated that she was more than just a theatrical activist. She was prepared to risk everything for her beliefs. Ethan Price, meantime, was apparently having a hard time finding a lawyer. It seems that his initial solicitors advised him to make a quick settlement and offer a heartfelt apology. However, accepting a settlement would be an admission of guilt that might prevent him from ever working in the media. If they didn't reach a settlement, this would go to court, remain in the news, and possibly result in further financial and reputational losses. He had no viable options. That's what happens when you treat someone disrespectfully who has the means and public support to hold you responsible. Ethan could have apologized, completed some diversity training, and returned on the air in a few months in the past, but times have changed. You might be followed forever by a single viral video. Interesting considerations concerning what happens when someone's off-air remarks become public were also brought up by the complaint. Even during commercial breaks, is the network accountable for the actions of its employees? Can anchors be held responsible for remarks they made under the mistaken impression that they were private? What is the boundary between professional repercussions and free speech? Legal experts couldn't agree. Some claimed Coco had a good case because Ethan's remarks, even if they were made off-air, appeared on ABC and would be regarded as a component of his professional behavior. Some contended that it was a dangerous slope to punish someone for remarks they didn't mean to make public. However, most concurred that Ethan's negligence had ruined his own career, regardless of the legal merits. It also significant that all of this took place in 2025. 10 years ago, media personalities could say anything they wanted with little repercussion. That is no longer the case. The culture has changed. The majority of Coco's fanbase is made up of young people who don't put up with prejudice towards women and minorities the way earlier generations did. They make a lot of noise. They are well organized. And they are skilled at applying genuine pressure through social media. When deciding how to react to the lawsuit, ABC management must have been considering all of this. While a speedy settlement could reduce financial harm, it would appear as though they were acknowledging their mistakes. Their network would endure months of bad headlines if they fought it in court. They lose in either case. That's what occurs when an employee says something that can't be justified and is recorded. Coco received an invitation to speak at the UN Youth Forum a year after the first event. She discussed athletics and social duty, how nothing is just anything when others are looking, and how young girls learn what's possible by witnessing individuals like her refuse to be minimized or disregarded. She expressed her desire to be remembered for more than simply her victories and defeats. Even if it was uncomfortable, she wanted to be known for her beliefs. She received a standing ovation from the audience. Activists and diplomats were standing and applauding. In that instant, it became evident that Ethan Price's disparaging remark had backfired spectacularly, elevating Coco rather than demeaning her. It had provided her with a forum to discuss topics beyond tennis. It had demonstrated to the world that she would not put up with rudeness in silence. She became even more well-known and powerful as a result. Ethan Price discovered the costly lesson that disrespecting Coco Gauff will not go unpunished. He lost everything because of a single remark, and Coco is suing to make sure he remembers it. If you found this story shocking, please hit the like and subscribe buttons for more stories about athletes who don't want to keep quiet. Please share your opinions in the comments section below.